When someone says to you, be objective, what can they possibly mean? I've thought about this a lot. You know, I've studied philosophy and so on continually, trying to find out. And the best that I can surmise is that when someone says to me, be objective, means think as I do. So we're all brought up in a biased way. And in the end, I conclude that objectivity is agreed upon subjectivity. The group think that that's good. And they hire a teacher, they write a book, and empower the teacher to drill it in the mind of the kids until the kids grow up thinking that that has to be God's knowledge because it came to them, and they don't know that they have been punished and rewarded and so on until they regurgitated it. And what the kids know is from memory, not really from their own understanding. I also notice that logic breaks down in the sense that you cannot always rely on logic to give you the answers. Kurt Gödel's proof of undecidability of propositions really turned the whole aspiration about logic upside down. So Bertrand Russell, who set out and he wrote this great book, Principia Mathematica, in the 1910s, 20s, in the 1930s, says, gee, I wish I had known that. I wouldn't have spent so much of my life trying to show that logic will answer all questions. Gödel found that if you have a system of assumptions, there will be some questions arising there that are undecidable with those assumptions. You have to expand the assumptions, and questions will arise within the new system that are undecidable. So logic does not give you a closed framework for dealing with all problems. So now in mathematics you find many papers written on the undecidability of this and that. Things that people used to struggle to find, now they think that maybe they're undecidable. And I say intuition breaks down. Let me give you an example. You see, people say, I don't care about logic. God created me. I know. You know. And my simple illustration is you have the Earth that's 25,000 miles in diameter, and you put the tight wire around it, and you cut so nothing could go under it, and then you cut the wire at 10 feet to it and push it around so it's even all around the Earth. The question is, do you think you can put a mouse under it? How many people in this audience think you can? One. I used to also say, but now I know I have conflict, but my intuition says no. Although my mathematics says so, but people have protested. We've never tested the math in that dimension. You see, the idea is that you have this circle, and so this is R, and this is delta R. So 2 pi R is 25,000, and 2 pi R plus delta R is 25,000 plus 10 feet. And if you multiply it out, the 2 pi r cancels, and so you have 2 pi delta r is 10 feet, and so delta r is 10 over 6.28, which is more than a foot. You could crawl under it. Actually, it doesn't have to be the Earth. It could be the whole universe, and you still could crawl under it. That's counterintuitive. Are you following me? I mean, on a silly little problem like this, our intuition breaks down. So who knows in the world of politics and so on to say that some person is such a genius that he could decipher the effect of all the factors. So the question is, how do we manage? Let me talk a little bit more, because I see the time is running out. And do numbers have an objective meaning? I say no. In general, my feeling is that 1 and 1, only when we study arithmetic is 2 through the rigor of logic, but 1 and 1 is hardly ever 2. If I say, what does a pound of butter mean to you? You're going to think of a package like this. You think of cholesterol and sour stomach and dying young or something. I don't know what, getting fat. If I say 2 pounds of butter, you say a little more. Don't tell me 2. They taught you that at school. I mean, even if you tell me that's twice that, what does that mean? It means more butter, but you don't understand it. I don't either. Right? I don't even understand what a pound of butter means. Right? I just designated by symbol 1 package. But I mean, within that butter, it's insulted, says there's not one of me, there's a lot of me. So in general, we don't have an intrinsic understanding of numbers. Numbers are surrogates for magnitudes that we may or may not have the understanding for. If I'm a sheep trader, you're buying sheep from me, and I have a big sheep and a small sheep, and you're buying them for meat, you're going to be insulted if I call them 2 sheep. You say that other one is not a sheep. You know, not a full sheep. Well, is a sheep or not a sheep? I'm not sure anymore. Temperature 30 degrees. I say if you live in Pittsburgh and it's February, 30 degrees is balmy weather, and I take off my coat and I walk to school. If you're a Kenyan, 30 degrees is very cold weather. 30 degrees or minus 30 degrees, you don't want to go there. If you're an Eskimo, 30 degrees is habitually very hot weather. I read that the American Eskimos went to visit their cousins in Siberia. It was 30 degrees, it said. They took off their jackets. So the idea here is that these scales of measurement we have are our heroic scientific attempt to try to quantify, but not to really understand, because even in physics, different schools have different interpretations on what the numbers mean. People are always involved. We are the basic ingredient in all understanding. We are not discovering laws of nature. We are just learning about the impact of certain happenings outside on us that are uniform to all of us. So if we have scales for measuring things in pounds and kilograms, yards and meters and so on, we're going to be confused in using the multi-criteria and processes unless we convert them to priorities. So priority becomes the abstract unit across all the scales. It's our sense of importance.